ghusl. Ghusl is not about the mani, it has to come out from its normal place with a desire. Number two, وانتقاله. وانتقاله, the ha here, انتقاله, he refers to the mani, the seminal fluid, if it moves. Al-intiqal is to move from one place to the other. So if it moves from its place without even coming out, that makes it mandatory for the person to make ghusl, even if it didn't come out. If he feels it's moving, that means and nothing came out, or he held it back or whatever, then he still have to make ghusl. Because they say وانتقاله, that means it has to come out sooner or later. So and what makes the ghusl is the fact that it moved. And I think it's clear. وانتقاله أو انتقاله here. والتغيب حشفة في فرج أو دبر ولو لبهيمة أو ميت بلا حائل. Again, this is a matter of law, whether it's something permissible or not permissible. تغيب حشفة. تغيب is the disappearance of al-hashafa. Al-hashafa is the head of the male organ. في فرج, in a farj. If the head of it is disappeared in a farj or dubur, from the back, even for an animal or a dead, which is all evil things. But if it happens, this is evil. A person is doing evil. A person, if he is caught doing that, he's in big trouble. All kinds of, he's abnormal, he's weird, he's all kinds of things. But we're talking about the wudu here. That means he has to take a shower. Shower is mandatory. Bila ha'il, without any barrier. This is necessitates al-ghusl. Wa islamu kafir. If a kafir become a Muslim, then he has to take a shower. Does he have to take a shower before he says the shahada? No. He says the shahada, but then he goes to take a shower. And according to this, and if he doesn't take a shower, his Islam is still valid. Wa maut, which means death. But the person dead is not going to take a shower. It's not mandatory upon him. It's mandatory upon those who are alive. Wa haid, menses, the blood of menses. What necessitates or makes it wajib, the ghusl, is the haid. But the woman, if she got her menses, it is not for her to take a shower then. She take a shower after she's clean from it. But when was the shower obligatory upon her? As far as the ruling is concerned, once she got the menses, there's a shower that is obligatory upon her to take. Ghusl, obligatory upon her to take. When she has to do that after she's clean from the menses. Right? So wahayd wa nifas, and nifas is the afterbirth bleeding. So once it happens, that means she has to take a shower when she is purified from that. So these are the 7 cases where it's wajib to make ghusl. So as we heard, right? So each one is by itself enough for the ghusl to be wajib. And the ghusl again is to shower. That means is to cover the whole body with washed water. Washing the body with water, not wiping, but washing. There's no socks, there's nothing, with including the madmada wal istinshaq, the mouth and the nose. Wa sunnah, which means that it's recommended, the shower is recommended, and again it's ghusl. We know what ghusl means, so we don't need to say shower. Just washing the body with the madmada and istinshaq. It's recommended, not fard. Li jumu'ah, for salatul jumu'ah. And this has difference of opinion. It's something that should not be missed, and some said it's wajib. But here, according to the majority, and here the madhab is that it's recommended. لجمعة وعيد, and Salatul Eid. وكسوف, moon or sun eclipse. And why is that? Because many of these things, it's recommended based on the analogy that since there are gatherings, so big gatherings, it's always recommended to take a shower. Because the wisdom behind it is that people do not harm one another with the bad smell. And don't consider that everyone is in air conditioning and things are nice and so on. That's why it's the deen, is part of the deen that people, if it's not farda, then it's recommended to take a shower when there is gatherings, big gatherings. So kusuf, wastisqa, the rain, the prayer of the rain, it's recommended to take a shower if you go for that. Wa junun, a person become insane. Wa ighma, unconscious. La ihtilama fihima, no ihtilam in it. Al-ihtilam is the discharge of the seminal fluid when a person is asleep. But just the fact that a person he went crazy or he lost conscious, then this is recommended to take a shower afterwards. And this is, again, has nothing to do with the ihtilam. This is just for the fact that he lost his mind. He says, وَاسْتِحَاضَةٍ لِكُلِّ صَلَاةٍ. Al-istihada, as it would come, inshallah, later, is the woman that has a continuous flow of blood. The menses is only for counted days, but some would have a continuous flow more than the normal days. So what does she do in these more than what's the norm? Is that she would make wudu for every salah and she prays. But if she make ghusl for every salah, as it mentioned here, it's recommended, but it's not fard. Because after the woman is purified from her menses, she take a shower. But al-mustahada, the one that the blood keeps on coming after the normal period of days, then what is sufficient for her is to make wudu for every salah. Or al-jam' al-suri is that she waits for salat al-dhuhr till the end time of dhuhr. She can take a shower then, and then she prays dhuhr, and then she waits for adhan al-asr, and then she prays asr, and then she makes the maghrib and isha the same thing, another shower. So it's not like meant for every salah she takes a shower. She would delay the dhuhr a little bit just before asr. She takes a shower, then she combines the dhuhr at the time of dhuhr and asr at the first time of asr. And then at maghrib, she delays maghrib till before isha. She takes a shower and she prays maghrib, and then adhan al-isha, she prays isha, and then another shower for fajr. Is it mandatory? It's not mandatory. It's recommended. What's mandatory is that she makes wudu for every salah if she is in the state of al-istihada. So he says here, وَاسْتِحَاضَةٍ لِكُلِّ صَلَاةٍ وَإِحْرَامٍ, wearing the ihram clothing for Umrah or Hajj is recommended to take a shower before that. وَدُخُولِ Mecca, entering Mecca, all that if it's easy for the person to do so. Some of the Sahaba would do that, like Ibn Abbas and others. Before entering Mecca, he would take a shower. وَحَرَمِهَا, and the haram of Mecca, especially for the haram. وَوُقُوفٍ بِعَرَفَةٍ, the day of Arafah, before the day of Arafah, to take a shower before the day of Arafah, as long as it's not harming or making it inconvenient for others. وَطَوَافِ زِيَارَةٍ, the tawaf of the ziyarah, the first tawaf when a person comes to Mecca. Tawaf al-ziyarah here is the ifada, is the rukn of the Hajj. وَوَدَاعٍ, and the farewell tawaf before leaving Mecca. وَمَبِيتٍ بِمُزْدَلِفَةٍ, the night before the night of Muzdalifah after Arafah, again if it's feasible, it's recommended. وَرَمْيِ جِمَارٍ, and before throwing the jimar, and again because of the gatherings, and there's no specific hadith with regards to this. And then he says, وَتَنْقُضُ الْمَرْأَةُ شَعْرَهَا لِحَيْضٍ وَنِفَاسٍ. For the woman, when she takes her shower after the menses or after birth bleeding, تَنْقُضُ, she undo her hair, شَعْرَهَا. نقض, like nawaqid al-wudu, that undo the wudu, negates the wudu. So naqd al-sha'r is when she had her hair in braids, then she undo that. If she taken a shower for the haid, for the menses, or the nifas. Haid is once a month, and nifas is after birth. So she has to undo the braids if she has braids, for that the hair is to be covered with water. لا جنابة إذا روت أصوله. No, not for janaba. If the woman have janaba, if she has relations and she has to take a shower, she doesn't have to undo her hair, because the Prophet ﷺ told the woman, just sufficient for you to take ثلاث حثيات من ماء, that you take two handfuls of water and to pour it on your head. This is sufficient for her if it's janaba, not haid, not if it's after relations, because this can happen more than one time. But the haid is only once a month, or the nifas is not all the time. So for the janaba, she doesn't have to undo her hair. إذا روت أصوله. Rawat is irrigating the water, right? The land. So if she usulahu, the roots. So that means if she if she makes the water reaches the roots of her hair, like pouring the hair on top of her head, she doesn't have to undo her hair. When? Only if the ghusl is for janaba after relations. And then he said wa sunnah, and it's from what is recommended. Wa sunnah. Now he's talking about what's recommended in making ghusl, not the ghusl that is recommended. We finished that. While a person is making ghusl, what are the things to be done in ghusl that is recommended? He said, وَسُنَّ تَوَضُّءٌ بِمُدٍّ. From what is recommended is to make tawaddu, is to make wudu bimud, and the mud is 2 handful of water, one time, like 2 handful like this. This is the mud. And the mud is a very specific volume that even people take the the sanad of it, even though some said about the sanad of weakness, but it's still the sa', basically, the sa' of the people of Al-Madinah. And I have one, but it's not with me. It's a very specific cup that the people of Najd, they take it from one generation to the other as a unit of measures. But the norm is it's 2 handful of a normal hand, not very small, not very big. So it's recommended that the wudu, this is sufficient for wudu. Water that can fit both hands like this is sufficient for wudu. And the Prophet ﷺ, he was sufficient for him. So whoever claims that it's not sufficient, it was sufficient to the one that is best than all of us. واغتسال بصاع, and it's recommended to make اغتسال, to make a shower with a sa', to make ghusl, the entire body, with a sa'. A sa' is 4 muds. So 4 of that is sa'. That is sufficient. Again, if a person do with more, which is now the case, how can you measure that with the norm and the ease of the showers and things like this? But the point here is, which the next point, وَكُرِهَ إِسْرَافٍ. Israf, excessiveness, is disliked. Doesn't matter whether a person is at ease or not. So those who like to be under the shower for a long time, this is, as Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, in the meaning of which, that min qillat fiqh al-rajul, from the deficiency of the understanding of a man, kathratu wala'ihi bil ma', that he loves water so much, that he enjoys being under the water for a long time. I mean, it's one thing is to clean oneself, but to the excessiveness of no point of it, just to waste water like this, it doesn't matter if you have abundance of water or not. وَكُرِهَ إِسْرَافٍ. Israf in anything is not something recommended. وَإِنْ نَوَى بِالْغُسْلِ رَفْعَ الْحَدَثَيْنِ أَوْ الْحَدَثِ وَأَطْلَقْ ارْتَفَعَ. Here with regards to the niyyah. وَإِنْ نَوَى, if he made the intention, بِالْغُسْلِ, by taking a shower. He's taking a shower, بِالْغُسْلِ, he's washing the entire body, and his intention is رفع, elevating al-hadathain, the 2 hadath, the major and the minor one. The major one is what necessitates shower, and the minor one is what necessitates wudu. So someone was just in need of wudu. This is what is mandatory for him. But he took a shower, he washed the whole body with the niyyah that he's making ghusl, and he know that it's not mandatory for him to take ghusl. So this is the first case. أو الحدث, or he had the intention to relieve himself or elevate himself from al-hadath wa atlaq. That means he left it open like this, not minor or major. He just took a shower to be able to make salah, and it doesn't matter whether it's from a major one or a minor one. Irtafa'a, both will be elevated. That means he can make salah, no problem whatsoever. Now, why? Because he did it with the intention of making ibadah and ta'ah. The same thing if a person makes wudu to make salatul nafl. Does he have to make wudu for salatul fard and wudu for salatul nafl? No, he makes wudu to be able to pray. So the same thing if a person takes a shower to be able to pray, whether he has janaba or he doesn't have janaba, the janaba is gone, because he's making as a ibadah, not just washing his body. But he says here, وَإِنَّوَ بِالْغُسْلِ رَفْعَ الْحَدَثَيْنِ أَوْ الْحَدَثِ وَأَطْلَقْ ارْتَفَعَ. But what if he intended, I hope I didn't mix it here. So again, because this is important. It's according to one's intention. The higher removes the lower. So if he intended with the ghusl, the shower, to relieve himself from the major and the minor hadath, this is of course obvious, right? And if he intended to remove the minor one, it is not sufficient if he has the major one, right? So if he has janaba, right? If he has janaba and he forgot about the janaba, and his intention was to make wudu, but instead of making wudu, he took a shower. Does the janaba goes away? No, because his intention was for the wudu and not for the minor one, not for the major one. So I hope this is clear. وَإِنَّوَا بِالْغُسْلِ رَفْعَ الْحَدَثَيْنِ. But if he has the intention of both, that's both. أو الحدث وأطلق ارتفع. I mean, refers here with the hadath, which is the major one. As far as the minor one, then the major one does not get elevated because he did not have the intention, because إنما الأعمال بالنيات. He says, but before we go, is it clear the statement? If he says أو الحدث وأطلق, if he left it open, different than he made the intention to relieve himself from the minor one. The major, the minor and major, I hope it's clear. When we say the major, that means you have to take a shower. Minor, that means you have to only make wudu, right? So if you have the intention when you take in a shower to be purified from the major and the minor, right? Both are relieved and it's okay. If you take in a shower and your intention that you have hadath, you're not in state of Taharah, but you left it open, they both are relieved. But if you have the intention of the minor one and you take in a shower, you just take in a shower, but you don't know that you have the major one. You just want to make wudu, but you're in the bathroom. You want to make wudu because you only can make wudu, nothing else. But instead of making wudu, you took a shower with the intention of the wudu. But then you discovered that you had to take a shower. That shower doesn't count because your intention was for the minor one. So either to make it when you take a shower, to make it for the hadath, and you leave and whatever hadath there is, instead of specifying it's a wudu or not. Is it clear? So basically what it's showing is the intentions, the importance of the intention.
Again, that the shower is provided for janaba, and if I didn't mention the niyyah of wudu, that's the wudu will be inside of me.
Yes, but as long as the intention is I'm taking a shower for the hadath, for whatever hadath there is, right? And if you specify for the major, that's the major and the minor. With right. If you take in a sunnah shower and you have janaba and you didn't know about the janaba, no janaba. Yes, if you make in sunnah of ghusl of Jumu'ah for Eid, for nothing whatsoever, for no reason, you just taking a shower as a ghusl with mudmada wa istinshaq, you can make salah. When you only needed wudu, but you took a shower, that's fine. You don't have to make wudu. Shower is higher, so shower take care of the wudu, and you don't have to have intentions of wudu, and you don't have to make wudu. But the only part that might be confusing here is that you have to only make wudu, but you took a shower with the intention of wudu, not intention of wudu. You're not making wudu. You're taking a shower, but to relieve yourself from the minor hadath. You passed wind, right? So you're supposed to make wudu. Instead, you made shower because of this. And then afterwards, you discovered that you had to take a shower because you broke your major hadath. Then that shower doesn't count because your intention was for the wudu part. Right? Is it clear? No, it's not clear. Like, again, different situations. It's very easy. It's maybe I guess my lack of making it very clear. So again, you're taking ghusl. Can we not say shower? Are we okay with ghusl?
Yes.
Right. Are we okay with al-hadath al-akbar? The major hadath? What's the major hadath? Janaba and the like of it, you have to take a shower. A minor hadath, that you have to make wudu, right? So we're okay with this. Okay, so here, if a person is making ghusl, and his intention that to be relieved from the major hadath and the minor hadath. Is this masala clear? He's taking a shower with the intention of the major and the minor to be taken care of. Both will be taken care of. If he's taking a shower with the intention that the major hadath is to be taken care of, both will be taken care of because, of course, the major will take care of the minor one. The third one, if he's making ghusl and he wants it to take care of the hadath, not major or minor, in general, and he left it open like this, that take care of both. The fourth case, if he's taken a shower, ghusl, and his intention only to take care of the minor hadath, then if he discovered later that he had to do the major one, then he has to make another shower because his intention was only for the minor one. Is it clear?
Just taking a shower
the difference between taking a shower and wudu?
No. It's like there is another one after all these four we can mention, which is I'm taking a shower, just any shower, and can that be counted if I didn't have wudu and I took a shower? Can
That count for wudu.
can
Yeah, if a person doesn't have wudu, he needs to make wudu, but he took a shower with the intention of ghusl, not just any shower, not just that happened that this is his daily shower. Right. He's not in janaba. He does not have to take a ghusl. He does not have to take a shower, but he only needs to make wudu. Right? So instead of making wudu, he just took a shower, or he jumped in the swimming pool. Okay, he has a swimming pool and he needs to make wudu. I'm not gonna go make wudu. I'm just gonna jump in the swimming pool, right, and make madmada and istinshaq, and then I go out and of course wear clothing and make salah. That's fine, because the ghusl take care of the wudu. But to take a normal shower without any intentions, that doesn't make any difference. This is just cooling off or whatever. It's not ibad. So the ghusl, what makes it ghusl is that the intention that you're making ghusl, like the intention you're making wudu, and ghusl for what? And this is another thing. So that we don't keep you long, inshallah ta'ala. The last part before the end of this fasl, وَسُنَّ لِجُنُوب. It's recommended for someone in janaba. So someone in janaba, and then janaba is, again, if a person is in state of janaba, that means he has to take a shower, and a janaba happened as a result of having relations or seminal fluid came out and things like this. So it's recommended for a junub to ghaslu farjihi, to wash his private part, wal wudu, and to make wudu. He says li'aklin wa shurb, to eat and drink. Al junub, what's mandatory for him is to cover his body with washing, with water and madmada and istinshaq. What is recommended for a person in junub, and not everybody has the ease to take a shower, or if he delays the shower, definitely it's recommended to take the shower as soon as the person can. But if it's going to be delayed, then it's recommended for him to wash his private part and to make wudu, whether it's male or female, and to make wudu. لأكل وشرب, to eat and drink, ونوم, and before going to sleep, ومعاودة وطء, and to repeat relations with one's wife, والغسل لها أفضل, and to wash for that is best. To wash for all of what is mentioned is best. That means a person should be in haste to take care of that and to take a shower. But if a person is not going to, then at least to wash the private part and to make wudu. وَكُرِهَ نَوْمُ جُنُوبٍ بِلَا wudu. And it's disliked for a junub to sleep without wudu. Is it haram? No, it's makruh to sleep without at least wudu, right? And of course, it's best is not to sleep unless a person takes a shower, so that he's able to read Quran and so on, and the protection from the shayateen and things like this. So, and of course, the perfect way of making a shower is صفة الوضوء, صفة الغسل, how to make wudu in the most perfect way, how to make ghusl in the perfect way. This is not mentioned here, and this is again is to wash the private parts, to make wudu, and then the right side of the body, and then the left side of the body, then the head, and basically the rest of the body, and that's it. And doesn't have to repeat the wudu again unless he touches private parts, and then he can make wudu again at the end. So we'll stop here before the tayammum, right? Before we stop, inshallah ta'ala. So we took from the beginning to the tayammum. So if if you want to study what has been mentioned with the notes that you have, we'll have a test. If you have it registered, if you have emails or whatever, we'll send you the test, inshallah. You answer the test, and it depends on open book or not open book. All of that will be specified, inshallah. And then we'll go then, inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, to the next, and hopefully we'll finish the entire book, inshallah, with all the subjects of fiqh, inshallah. If hijama breaks the wudu, again, this is an issue of differences of opinion, even the fasting part. But yes, a person has to make another wudu because of the blood came out. Wallahu a'lam. No, this is not the dry hijama, of course. This is the one with the cupping now with the blood. Fadl. No. Now, ghusl al-janaba in the day of Jumu'ah, a person has to make two ghusl. If he has janaba and he has the ghusl of Jumu'ah. No, one is sufficient, And that's even recommended to have both in one ghusl in that case. So, no. His question. No.
جزاك الله خير شيخنا وبارك الله فيك وأحسن الله إليك. قوله في الدرس السابق الاستنجاء إلا من ريح.
نعم.
هل من اعتقد الاستنجاء من الريح دخل في البدعة؟
The question is, as it's mentioned, al-istinja, to wash after going to the bathroom or urinating or defecating, except from the rih, from the wind, you don't make istinja. You don't wash yourself after passing wind. So the question is, if someone make istinja after passing a wind, is that considered to be bid'ah? First of all, a person might think or something physical came out as a result of that, so that means it's he has to make istinja, if to just give him to the benefit of the doubt. But just to think that this is breaks the wudu, just the wind, of course it breaks the wudu. To make istinja, it's a must. Is that a bid'ah? It's a very weak opinion that has no basis to it whatsoever, but it's not necessarily a bid'ah. It's a very weak opinion, does not have basis to it. No.
جزاك الله. طب شيخنا حفظكم الله، في درس اليوم قلت ذكر تسقط التسمية الواجبة إذا تجاوزها. هل سقوطها كان لتجاوزها وذهب محلها أم لأن النية موجودة إلى نهاية الوضوء؟
بالنسبة للتسمية،
نعم سقوطه.
نعم، التسمية غير مرتبطة بالنية.
شيخنا أنا مش عارف أجيب السؤال بالإنجليزي عشان بدي إياك تجاوب بالإنجليزي يعني.
طيب, if a person forgot the tasmiyah saying Bismillah in the wudu, and it does not, it's tasqut. What do we say tasqut? That means it's not mandatory anymore if he forgets it or if he doesn't know the ruling of it. Does that, because of the niyyah is gone in the middle or at the end? Of course, the tasmiyah does not require a niyyah or intentions. And therefore it's only wajib. So if a person forgets it and it's the beginning of it is we're supposed to do the basmala. So since he forgot it, that means there's nothing on him because he forgot the wajib. And the wajib, if you forget it, you don't have to repeat it again.
جزاك الله خير.
Like the middle tashahhud, for example.
جزاك الله خير شيخنا. المعذرة.
تفضل.
If the Muslim brother or sister go to sleep before doing wudu, if he or she passed away, he go to hell or heaven?
No. If
Muslim brother or sister without doing wudu go to sleep, and God forbid if passed away, he go to hell or heaven?
May Allah make us all go to heaven, inshallah, go to Jannah. It's not haram, it's not a sin for someone to sleep without wudu. It's recommended to go to sleep instead of wudu. And if a person also instead of janaba, that means he has to take a shower, it's not haram if he goes to sleep. It's recommended that he takes a shower, or at least to make wudu, or at least to wash his private parts. If he does nothing of that and he goes to sleep instead of janaba, it's still not haram. So if a person dies in his sleep, he dies as a Muslim, mashallah, and he can still even say the adhkar before he go to sleep, and it does not make him among those who deserve the hellfire because he did not commit a sin. But it's something very stressed and very recommended. And there's things that a person should not allow himself to go to sleep in state of janaba. But if he does, there's no harm on him. So,
Inshallah, we all go to Jannah by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakumullah khair. Now, can a person make in wudu the hand twice, the faces 3 times like this? It's makruh, is disliked, or even some said haram to do intentionally more than 3 because the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, فَمَنْ زَادَ, whoever increased more than 3, فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ وَطَغَى, he transgressed, he did wrongdoing intentionally like this. But the question is, can you make one organ twice, one organ 3 times? Yes, this is all fine. Even though the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that he tawadda'a marra, one time the Prophet ﷺ made wudu one time, every organ to wash it one time. One time he would make wudu twice, and then 3 times, and this is the norm. But if a person mix some organs he wash it once, some organ he wash it twice, some organ he wash it 3 times. All of that is valid, but it's from the sunnah to make it sometimes twice, or to make it sometimes even 1, but making sure that it's all covered with water. And the norm is to make it 3. All of that from the sunnah, but even some said that it's from the sunnah and the mahjura one. Some of the neglected sunnah is that sometimes make it twice and sometimes make it once. And it's not just because you're in haste, but the Prophet ﷺ used to do that sometimes. But it's mixing it, it's okay. No, Allah.
We talk about the Kabir. Sorry.
No, so
Anyone has question? Go ahead.
No.
When we talk about the jabira, if someone has the jabira in his right hand, it sometimes it's hard to do something to clean the other part with his hand. Can he ask someone to help him with that?
Now, can someone ask someone else to make wudu for him, or if he's not able to use his hand? Yes, someone can make wudu for someone else, as long as the person that is the wudu is made for, he has the intention that wudu is being done for him.
Sheikh, if someone had the cast on his feet and he put the socks, is the socks has the same ruling and the cast, or he has to remove it?
If he put the socks on top of the cast is to wipe on it as long as it's there. But the socks to wipe on it according to the rulings of the socks. So if he takes the socks off and he puts it back on again, it's not permissible to wipe over the socks. He has to wipe over the jabira and not the socks.
What I mean is, if he keep the socks the same as long as the jabira there.
If he keeps the socks as long as the jabira is on, yes, it takes the same rulings of the jabira, since this is part of what the jabira is.
Does he have to put, or we have to put it on tahara, or?
If the cast is on tahara, what matters is the cast.
As we mentioned, the cast without tahara.
Oh no, then for the socks, well, if you put the socks after the jabira, then it doesn't take the ruling of the jabira.
So he has to remove.
Yes, no.
Exactly. And also, when we talk about the hijab of the woman,
okay,
that's like the hijab that we have now. I'm not talking about the one like the regular hijab, or the hijab like the most of our sister from Somalia, to wear the long khimar. Is that the one that she can wipe on top of it, or no?
It's the one that is tight on her face. The hijab that is tight on the face. And so whatever way of the hijab, even if it's a sinful hijab, right? Because not all the hijab is permissible. So the hijab has to go down and cover the shoulders, not tucked in the dress in which the shoulders are shown. It has to come down. That's the khimar, comes down like that without shaping the shoulder. But if she's wearing something else, but it's still tight, what makes it to wipe over the khimar or so, if it's tight on her face, not loose. So that's why it makes it difficult for her to undo it. So in that case, she can wipe over it. Allah.
Of the imama,
no.
If he uncover some of his hair, what should he do?
Now, so, with regards to the imama, if it's muhannaka, that means it's not moving. If it's around the neck like this, but if it's loose, then it's better to avoid the issues. Is that a person would wipe part of the head and then the rest on the imam, because it's moving. So part of it that he would wipe the head, and then the rest he wipe over the imam.
Yeah, Sheikh, I had a couple of questions on the obligations of ghusl for a dead person, right? So what are the exceptions that a dead body cannot be washed? Like if it's a plague, or if it's like an accident where the body is very much like injured. So what are the exceptions in that case?
For the ghusl of the mate, of course, it has its details, and this is the right of the deceased. But if the body is in such a state that there's no way that they can wash it, if they wash it, it's going to be break into pieces or something like this, then in that case, to make tayammum for it. That's what they say. To make tayammum and to wash what it needs to be washed, and for what, if there is parts that you cannot wash, and to make tayammum for it, or to make tayammum for the whole thing if it's unbearable, it cannot be done.
Second question was, Sheikh, like if we are unintentionally looking at a inappropriate clothing, women's, would that still validate the wudu at the first?
Gazing at a woman, for example, by itself, it doesn't break the wudu unless something happens as a result of that, a desire that causes the person to break his wudu. Something comes out from the desire.
Jazakallah.
No. Can you say it so that I don't have to repeat the question?
Sorry?
Say it in the microphone so that I don't have to repeat the question.
With regards to like if you take shower and act unintentionally touching your private parts, does that nullify your wudu?
If a person is taking a shower and while taking a shower, he unintentionally or intentionally, he touched his private part. Make wudu while in the shower to be away from the differences of opinion in this. No, while making a shower. Because if a person touches during the taking a shower, the water is coming, so the shower is, then it's happened. But if he's in doubt, then make wudu while making a shower. That would be sufficient for him, inshallah. Oh, if after the shower happened by accident, there's no harm in this. No.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam.
I was just wondering, do we have to have wudu in order to read Quran?
Do we have to have wudu to read? No.
No, right?
But we have to have wudu to touch the Quran.
Oh,
To touch the Mus'haf.
okay.
Reading without touching is okay without wudu. Or if you read from a phone or from a tafsir or translated, has Arabic and English together, you can touch it and you can read. There's two things. Reading is one thing. Touching the Mus'haf is another thing.
Oh, I see.
So
However, you mentioned that you cannot read Ayat Kursi
that's
if
it.
you don't have wudu.
No, if you don't have janaba. If you
Oh,
are in
okay.
state of janaba,
Right.
that means you have to take a shower. That means you cannot read. Janaba, you cannot read or touch.
Oh, I see.
Not having wudu only, you can read, but you cannot touch the Mus'haf.
Jazakallah khair.
Allah barik fik. There's a question here. I have illness that I have to treat as soon as possible, and the place I reside does not have the treatment. And I'm a woman, and my father and brother don't have the ability to come with me out of country to get the treatment. My husband is in another country. He wants to see me, and I need to go for treatment. And for my husband, is it permissible for me to go with a company of 2 or 3 women who will be responsible for me since I'm unable to go with mahram, and I need to go because of my illness is serious? Well, as we know that the ruling that a woman is not permissible for her to travel without a mahram. And since that's the case, we have to make sure, first, 2 things, that exhausting all the means that a mahram is not able to travel with her. Sometimes people, they make it difficult when it's easy, or because of it's too much money or things like this. But if it's feasible, if the husband has the ability to come and go, those who can take her, but they're taking maybe a lenient opinion or something like this. So making sure that it's feasible, but even if it costs more money or things like this, then she has to travel with a mahram. The other thing is if it's a travel of necessity, and the one that determines this necessity is, of course, a person of knowledge with someone that is trustworthy, doctor, for example, that he would say, as mentioned, there is no way that she has to travel, otherwise this harm is going to afflict her and things like this. So if that's the case, and there is no mahram whatsoever, all of that, we have to put so many lines underneath, then in that case, it's a matter of necessity. What can she do? She needs to push away from herself, then to have, and if she has this company, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy and protect her. But it's not, the answer is not, it's okay. So that nobody would take this as it's okay to do that, or it's okay for that sister to do that. I'm not saying, I'm not giving a fatwa for the sister to do that, right? So that it's not misunderstood. She needs to present this to, to deal with the situation, to make sure that making sure that the husband is really not able, all of these types of things. And the illness also, it's something that is serious. So she asked a specific scholar with all of these things to be taken care of. And then she would need a fatwa only for her, because if it's an exceptional situation. Allah. Now, طيب. A continuation that come later. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a continuation. Also, can you forward to him that the treatment I need is also in the country that my husband resides in. So I will be able to see my husband and do treatment. We have not seen each other for 3 months, and I found out that I have an illness, so I have to go and get treatment. And I will also have my husband as mahram to meet me in that country. Again, if the husband is not able to come, and like say, for example, as a separate situation, a woman is separated from her husband, and she needs to go to her husband, or her husband needs to go to her, but there's no way for the husband to come, and she has no mahram to take her to her husband, right? Or even, if the husband is in a Muslim country and she's in a Muslim country, then this is permissible for her to travel to join her husband. in theory. But again, is that the case or not? Allah knows, subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And one last thing here, is it from the sunnah to wash the hands 6 times for the wudu done in the morning, or 3 after being awake, and then the regular wudu? This is only if the wudu is done from a container and a person wakes up during the night to make wudu. So you have to wash your hands 3 times outside of the container, outside of the bucket, if you're making wudu from a bucket, before you immerse your hands in the bucket. So these 3 times, the first 3 times is not from wudu, it's something before wudu. And then the 3 times from the wudu is, but if you're from a tap water, for example, there is only 3 times, which is the beginning of the wudu. No. Like, first of all, if you have a bucket, right, and this is the only water that you have to make ghusl or make wudu from, right, and you just woke up in the middle of the night, you can either get a small cup and get the water out and wash your hands outside, or you can kind of make it tilt the bucket a little bit to wash your hands outside. Don't dip your hands inside to wash it outside. No, we didn't do anything like this. You cannot dip it unless you wash it outside. Once you wash it outside 3 times, then put your hands inside and make wudu and jump into the water, do whatever you want. I didn't say this. Is there a sunnah for 2 rak'ah jima'? There is a sunnah for 2 rak'ah after a person get married. The first thing that when he's alone with his wife, that there's a dua that he would say, and then it's sunnah for him to lead her in 2 rak'ah. The first thing to do, and this is something that has been practiced and it's done, that he would lead her in 2 rak'ah first. No.
When somebody's cleaning himself from urine and he poured water into the opening and then that water comes out later, does that break the wudu?
Harsh.
If somebody poured water into the opening,
right,
and the water
should
comes
not
out
do
later.
that, of course. But say, as far as the question, if someone pours water into the sabilain, one of the sabilain, into the opening of the urine or the feces, and the water comes out later, that breaks the wudu. Anything that comes out breaks the wudu, whether it's sooner or later.
Assalamu alaikum.
Like Sandra.
Sheikh, if somebody is sick and they, while they are sleeping or they go into sleep, they fall into the state of janaba. So, and they can't take a shower because that will make their condition way more worse. So, for that person, can they just make the tayammum and then pray?
No. If a person is in state of janaba and a person is sick or a fear for his life or so, then can he make tayammum? But it has to be a valid reason. If he fears for himself, then he can make tayammum. And also comes with that, if a person knows that if he becomes in state of janaba, right, there's not going to be a way for him to take a shower. Can he still make himself be in state of janaba? Yes. It's absolutely fine. And in that case, if he's not able to use water, he can make tayammum. Halal way, of course. Like if someone, it's a very cold night and there's no way to heat the water and the water is freezing cold. And if he becomes in state of janaba, he's not going to have means to take a shower. Should he then make himself be in state of janaba? Yes. It's not haram. It's okay to do that. And in that case, he does not have the ability to take a shower. He can make tayammum.
Sorry, Jazakallah khair. A few questions. With regards to washing the private parts, is it disliked or haram to use the right hand?
It's makruh to use the right hand. It's disliked. But again, if it's disliked, it doesn't mean to be done. But it's and that's why a person is very close to doing something haram, but it's not haram.
Jazakallah khair. You mentioned also about that the waswas, the Prophet also hadith that the shaitan plays with dubar. So you have to be sure, certain. Is that only in salah or even outside? If you kind of feel maybe I did or maybe I didn't.
No. The good question: if the shak, if the doubt during the salah is not permissible to leave the salah, but if it's outside the salah and the shak or the doubt happens every so long, then it's okay to act upon it and to go make wudu and relieve yourself from the doubt. But if it's repeated, that means it's not permissible for that person to act based on the doubt, because that means he is having an issue with the whispers of shaitan.
And then you mentioned about to be sure, you washed. What about those, like if you, just to be sure, like I washed till my elbow going a little above, like half, or washing my feet going like above half the shin?
Right. Of course, when we didn't talk about more sunan or the sifat of wudu and so on, if a person is making wudu and he go beyond the elbow and go beyond the legs, the foot to the shin, all of that is recommended. And the Ummah, the Prophet ﷺ will come on the Day of Judgment, so it's all good to do that, to increase, to do more. But what is forbidden of increase is to wash more than 3 times. So instead of making it only 3 times, the person make it 4 and 5. This is forbidden. But the fact that within the 2-3 times, he makes it longer. He pushes the water more higher in his arm. This is recommended. This is a good thing.
Is it the same thing for then the head that goes all the way to the neck? The people that do also their neck?
The neck, as far as the neck, there's nothing authentic hadith about wiping the neck. But if it's a person wiping the head, it's the head is different than the neck. But if his hands goes a little bit down, but without this issue of people like they do like this, there's no basis to it.
And
the head is go back and forth, right? But some people, they go back to the neck and they do like this. There's no basis to it. Yes. No.
The mas al-khuf, you said before you put the khuf on, you have to have perfect tahara. Does that include the wudu with water or with tayammum? If someone makes tayammum?
No, it has to be with water.
With water.
With tayammum, a person cannot put socks on, because this is not kamal tahara. This is not a perfect tahara. Because also, as it will come, the tayammum is done to make istibahat al-tahara or istibahat al-ibadah. That means the person is permissible for him to make ibadah, but he's not necessarily in state of tahara.
Is this same goes for like if somebody had to do that, like if someone has a cast,
right?
And so now they do not have tahara, they have a cast,
right?
So they do tayammum only on that part.
Yes.
So for them, they cannot wear socks and or wipe over that.
In that case, if they wear socks, it's they cannot wipe over the socks and they cannot wipe over the cast anyway, so it doesn't matter. Right. So both are not to be wiped on. He has to make tayammum.
Last one here. The men, you said about treating, let's say, a male doctor, another doctor, touching the private parts without a barrier. So if using gloves, that does not break the wudu?
It does not break the wudu unless it's without a desire. Yes.
For treatment, so
yes,
it would not break.
It doesn't.
جزاكم الله خير. وزوال عقل, extreme anger is under زوال عقل ولا?
No, extreme anger is not under زوال عقل. زوال عقل is to be unconscious, not extreme anger, or a person becomes like a. Can it be under the category of majnoon, someone that is insane? A person might lose his sanity for a few minutes or for a few seconds, if it's true, which means that he does not know who he is. He doesn't know day from the night. He doesn't know anything. He's just lost it. There is a temporary insanity that a person can have. So these rulings applies.
This is kind of the same as the talaq, right?
Right. The same thing with the talaq. If a person makes talaq, but being in that state, and he does not know if it's during the day or night or what he did. He does not even remember what he said. Not the normal anger that people know what they're saying or so, which is not makes the talaq valid if they do so.
ومس فرجا هل بشهوة؟ يعني مثلا واحد using a towel.
Right. No, it doesn't have to be with a shahwa, with a desire. مس الفرج, even though the matter has difference of opinion, but if he touches the farj, that breaks the wudu.
السؤال الأخير، الأخت اللي سألت على السفر، كيف الجمع بين أحاديث يوم ليلة يومين؟ مثلا في سفر حضرتك مثلا 2-3 ساعات من نيويورك.
Right. The safar or the traveling that is not permissible for a woman to travel without a mahram, as the hadith says, يوما وليلة. لا تسافر امرأة تؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر مسيرة يوم وليلة إلا مع ذي محرم. A woman believes in Allah on the last day, she should not travel the distance of a day and a night without a mahram. And the day and the night at the time of the Prophet ﷺ is the marhalatain, which is basically what makes it permissible for a person to make qasr, which is something around the 48 miles or so. But again, this is as far as the distance is concerned versus what is normally to people is to be considered as traveling, which is the normal traveling that would makes a person, shorten the salah. And it's not the plane time or flights, it's the distance, not by the time of traveling. It's what covered in a day and a night at that time.
Basically, any travel.
Any travel, yes. No, the ruling of making salah with the shoes, if it has some dirt or grease or something like this, it's valid. It's all of these things are not najis, is not impure. If there's impurity, then it's a different thing, feces or something like that. Then he has to wipe it.
Example.
Right. Right. If a person with his shoes, he goes to the bathroom and it has water on the bathroom and it's not sure if it's clean or not, when he comes out, that cleans it. The earth cleans anything that was there. But plus, you have to be certain that you stepped on najasa. Just most likely this and that does not make any difference. There's one last question.
Sheikh,
no.
I have a question. So you said for reading Quran, you need wudu.
Yes. No, for reading Quran,
like with touching Quran.
Touching the mushaf, you need wudu. Yes.
So in the book, if you're reading the Quran, the text, you're turning the pages, you need wudu for them.
If it's only mushaf, but if it's a book of tafsir, if it has translation in it, if it's a digital thing, then it's okay. You can touch it without wudu. The only one that you cannot touch if you don't have wudu is the mushaf. The mushaf that only has kalamullah, the Quran only.
I have the Quran with the Arabic and Urdu meaning, translation.
Then it's okay to touch that.
Okay.
Because it's not just Quran. There's human beings, interpretations and things like this, or translation.
Okay. And second question was, so when in the Jama, if somebody, loses his wudu, you said he has to get out and do leave the Jama and go and do wudu?
Yes. If someone during the salah breaks his wudu, he has to leave. It's not permissible to continue being in state of not wudu. Say, for example, he's stuck, he cannot go anywhere. At least with his intentions, he's not making salah anymore. It's haram to make salah. So he's not making salah.
Because I heard the same question in, I believe, IFS in one of the sessions, and the Sheikh said that if that person is shy to go, he can complete the salah and repeat it. That's what he said.
Allah, there's no such a thing as continuing a salah because he's shy.
Okay.
But if he, say for example, he's not able to leave the position that he's in, he departs with his intentions from them. To himself, he's not making salah. He cannot complete salah while not being in Taharah. But he can do the movements with them, but he's just fooling them, or whatever he's doing. He's not making salah. To himself, I'm not making salah. I'm just standing, making ruku' like this, but I'm not making salah. It's haram to have intentions that I'm making salah without wudu.
Right.
So either he leaves, or if he's not able to leave, then he just stay with them, or he sits till they finish, and then he goes make wudu. Right. With regards to the hurma, yes. It's a very dangerous thing. Yes, it can take the person to make a mockery of the religion or something of that nature. That's why a person he would not intentionally do that unless he's. But the issue is of being shy. There's no shyness in this. A person might forget. What if you forget to make wudu to start? It's okay to walk out of the salah, even if you're the imam. The imam, if he remembers that he did not make wudu, he has to leave, and he push someone else in his place. One last question here. Is it permissible for a Muslim to watch the New Year's fireworks without celebrating, just watching the decorations on Christmas? Allah musta'an. Wallahi, this is, we have to make sure that we understand that the heart is a dangerous organ. And what we see and what we hear goes into our hearts. And we need to preserve our hearts from being affected by anything. So the question is it permissible to celebrate these types of things? The answer is no, it's not permissible. So to watch celebrations, there's an ayah in the Quran, there is a rule for all watching celebrations or watching things that is wrong. وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورِ. The believers, they do not witness falsehood. And the tafsir of it, أعياد المشركين. They don't witness the celebrations of the mushrikeen and so on. They don't see that, they don't witness that. And this is something that a person should stay away from, and to seek rewards from Allah and to be patient. And the same thing with the decorations and things like this is to avoid it. Yani physically it looks nice, but it doesn't matter to us. A person push that away from himself.
If someone is sick and they make wudu, like, can they blow their nose more times? Like if they have something in their nose?
So the wudu becomes more than 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, mashallah. If someone is sick and while making wudu, he has to blow his nose and it make him a mother sinshak more than 3 times, that's okay. But he's not making wudu 4 and 5 times. He's just cleaning his nose. So as a result of that, he does this. So the same thing if a person washing his foot and there is dirt and it doesn't come out. So he keeps on rubbing it till it comes out or something like this, that's okay. But what's forbidden is just to make wudu more than 3 times for just no valid reason.
And if someone just makes niyyah for ghusl, like just ghusl, then it covers both?
Yes, if it's niyyah of ghusl, it covers both.
And does it also cover Jummah, or did they have to make
Yes,
specific?
it covers Jummah. It covers anything recommended of ghusl. Jazakumullah khair.